We talked about this running back class and how it doesn't suck and how we're going to personally take a bunch of running backs in the third round of rookie drafts this year due to the hit rate. Let's talk about which ones we like in the third round and which ones we like up top. Let's start up top with the guy in the S tier on his own, the clear running back one in this class, Jonathan Brooks, ladies and gentlemen, going to the Carolina Panthers at pick 46. The Panthers trade up to get Brooks. He's in a tier of his own because he is the clear number one back in Carolina as soon as he's healthy. They say he's going to be ready for training camp, but this should tell you all you need to know about Jonathan Brooks. The fact that he declared for the draft after tearing his ACL late in the season and then coming out and getting early second round draft capital, it's really good. When you look at the Bakery score of 11.47, he is in a tier of his own at the top. There, he's going to be in a tier of his own at the top of our rankings as well. When you're looking at where he's ranked and compared to Luke, just put the top 16, 17 people of all time on the Bakery on the screen. So look at this. Bijan obviously up at the top on his own. Barkley, Taylor, Etienne. Jonathan Brooks is in this next tier, guys. Brees, Cook, Gibbs, Williams, McCaffrey, Dobbins, Jacobs, Penny, Brooks, again, Mixon, and Walker, and Fournette. That's a good tier to be in. Mm-hmm. Jonathan Brooks is the running back one in this class. You're taking him in Superflex leagues as early as the 108, 109. You're taking him in 1QB leagues as early as the 104, 105. Hands down, Nathan, you got the next guy.
Trey Benson. We really like some Trey Benson.
I love it.
Trey Benson is super cool. He got a super great landing spot. Cool. Super awesome.
What is this analysis? He's super cool. He's super awesome. Dynasty domain.
I couldn't help it. Look, the reason Benson isn't in the same tier as Jonathan Brooks is, yes, okay, he went in the third round, sure. Yeah, it was early third. There really isn't that much of a gap between Brooks and Benson in our opinion from draft capital perspective, but it is going to be the immediate production opportunity compared to Jonathan Brooks. Brooks is going into a backfield that is taken by Chuba Hubbard, which means it's not taken. It's for the taking. Jonathan Brooks is going to be the guy there probably day one we would expect with, Chuba, helping him transition into the lead role. Trey Benson may have to wait a year because James Conner, even though he struggled with injury the last couple of years, when he's played, he's gotten more and more efficient the older he's gotten, and they kept him on the team for a reason. And yes, Benson is the succession plan, but don't be super surprised if Benson isn't hyper productive until you get closer towards the end of the season or Conner goes down. That's why he's going to be in the A tier. We still like him. I mean, from a prospect profile, production perspective, and as a talent, we really do like him as much as Jonathan Brooks. It's just going to be the situation year one why he's a tier below.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's drop down to this next tier here of guys, and we are going to have the two guys that got day two draft capital that are not Trey Benson level in terms of opportunity, but the draft capital installation with them, and they're just more guided of a dart throw. Marshawn Lloyd, I am bordering there is almost a world where there's a B1, B2 tier for me, and I put Marshawn Lloyd in his own tier over Corum because there's really not a world where I'm taking Corum over Marshawn Lloyd right now. And that's because I feel like Marshawn Lloyd has a very clear path to becoming the running back one in Green Bay as soon as next year. I honestly think he's going to be productive this year alongside Josh Jacobs. This is somebody that we've been very high on from a prospect standpoint this entire process. And you look at Josh Jacobs' contract, he's essentially on a one-year deal. A.J. Dillon is on a one-year deal. He got paid almost no money. I mean, he got overpaid, no money, it was an overpay for him. And when you're looking at where he is in the Bakery, he is the the running back three in the Bakery, ahead of Braylon Allen, ahead of Jalen Wright, but 9.46 Bakery score. Look, he's our clear RB3 as well. And you're looking at Blake Corum's Bakery score. I mean, we're being conservative here because of the draft capital, because of the situation, because he's going to be playing in a very good offense in LA. But his Bakery score, he's the running back 8 in the Bakery, even with his updated draft capital, with an 8.2 score. So analytically, Ryan's model is not very high. By the way, I forgot to mention the Bakery. Ryan's analytical model that analyzes running analytics. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yep.
It basically takes data from these college prospects and it uses mathematical techniques like linear regression, things like that, to try and predict who the best prospects are in these drafts. It is a huge database. It's very, very, very good and accurate. We love using it. And Blake Corum, in this one, he's the running back 8. But we're going to stick with you guys. You guys were higher on Blake Corum than we were. We're going to take our L. We were wrong about Blake Corum being as low as we had him. He's going to be a little bit higher than we had him. And we're going to put him up here with Marshawn Lloyd because he got respectable draft capital. I honestly don't think this hurts Kyron Williams a bunch, but again, analytically, still not super high on Blake Corum, but we can't ignore the draft capital, so he's going to be up here with Marshawn Lloyd for now.
Yeah, so these tiers after this are very interesting because these become our third round dart throws, even our fourth round dart throws the further down we get here. But in the C tier, you've kind of got these assets, your day 3 running backs that are going into situations that don't have a clear, dominant, play-by-play bell cow running back in their offense already. Ray Davis is going to be the number 1 guy here. And I'd put Jalen right there. They're kind of like, you pick your favorite. Avery's favorite is Ray Davis. My favorite is Jalen Wright. I think both of them have a very, very promising situation going into their rookie season where Ray Davis is a much more, we've seen what he did in college, and he could, serve as a red zone threat in Buffalo's offense. Especially, I'm really interested if they transition to 12 personnel, more kind of run-centric like I suspect they might. Ray Davis could be a big part of that. He's an older prospect, everyone knows that, but his talent is undeniable, and he was pretty impressive at the combine. He seemed very, he looked like one of the most athletically gifted individuals there as a running back talent, just with some of the drills that he was doing.
And if I could just touch on those 2 guys, because I feel like they're both really good options.
Wright is the other guy too. Yeah.
Jalen Wright being a guy that is going to be one of the speedy running backs that Mike McDaniel uses. You saw this last year. Achane, Ahmed, Mostert, and Jeff Wilson. They just rotated those guys in. I don't think this necessarily hurts Devon Achane a ton. Devon Achane, when he was healthy, was getting a lot of red zone work, to be honest with you. But at the same time, I think Jalen Wright is a guy who could come in and any given week have 15, 20 points, and then the next week maybe not. You just don't ever know. Now with Ray Davis, I feel like he carves out a more permanent role in an offense.
It just depends on when he does.
Sure, it does depend on when. I feel like they drafted him to play alongside James Cook.
That would be nice. That's our ideal world.
That's why I lean Ray Davis, but they're the same tier, so you can rank them any way you want. But Ray Davis, I think they drafted him. Obviously, he's 5'8", but he's 211 pounds at the combine. Bigger guy. I think he's gonna end up getting red zone touches in an offense where James Cook, who was fantasy productive last year, didn't get a ton of red zone touches. I don't think Ray Davis hurts James Cook one bit.
He's very athletically capable of being able to be effective in the red zone for Buffalo. Then we're gonna have Estime in this tier as well. Audric Estime goes to the Denver Broncos. This is kind of what we were worried about with Javonte Williams before the draft, and Javonte could take a little bit of a hit from this pick because Estime goes to a situation where I mean, who else is there? We know who's there. We know the guy who produced last year. I'm spacing on his name, but look, I don't think he's going to be a super huge factor. I think Estime is going to come in here and potentially take away from the workload that Javonte Williams we were hoping that he could have, and maybe get.
Are you talking about Jaleel McLaughlin?
Yeah, Jaleel McLaughlin is the guy that I was spacing on. But look. There again, no guarantee in this tier that there's no guarantee that any of these running backs in this tier hit, but historically there's a chance that multiple of them are going to get solid opportunities in with the teams that they've been drafted by, and Estime is 100% one of those guys because he is objectively an asset that Sean Payton drafted and Javonte Williams was not, and it's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Our next guy that we're going to have is Kimani Vidal, someone who we kind of started to mention a little bit over the last few weeks in the pre-draft process, and he goes to the LA Chargers. Gus Edwards is there. J.K. Dobbins is there. Throw J.K. Dobbins out. He's irrelevant. Seriously, I'm not kidding. Gus Edwards is the top option there for now. He's an experienced veteran. He's pretty solid. He gets the job done, but there is totally room for Kimani Vidal to come in there, and if he shows out over training camp over the summer and they impress and he shows toughness and an ability to be effective in a Greg Roman offense, I think there's a role for him there, especially with his receiving upside, which we've mentioned in the past, but he is real close to that. He meets that threshold that we want to see running backs have, especially if you're taking shots on them day 3.
Yeah.
I'll have you talk about Tyron Tracy.
This was my shot to put Tyron Tracy up here. I like Tyron Tracy. You guys are very high on him as a sleeper. I agree with you. He's a local kid. He grew up in Indianapolis. He went to Purdue. And then now coming out, when you look at what he did at the combine, he's 5'11", 209 pounds. He ran a 4.48, so obviously not blazing fast speed, but pretty skilled as a running back and fairly athletic everywhere else. 10.4 broad jump, 40-inch vertical jump. So this is a guy that has some athleticism, and going to a situation where they just signed Devin Singletary, the Giants did this year, and in my opinion, there's plenty of room for a rookie like Tyron Tracy to get in on a committee there. And so I think the potential production, the potential role he could carve out right away, that's what lends me to say, okay, I like Tyrone Tracy in this tier with Kamani Vidal. They got similar draft capital, similar type of situation. Estimate, similar draft capital, similar type of situation. I like Tyrone Tracy a lot. It's a shot called, but when you're looking at the bakery, Tyrone Tracy is the running back 11. He's right behind Ray Davis and right above Will Shipley. So decent bakery score for him as well. This next tier, guys, are going to start with Braylon Allen. Braylon Allen, obviously they drafted Braylon Allen. They also drafted Isaiah Davis. So they took 2 running backs here, the Jets did, and Braylon Allen going to a committee where there is a dominant running back. So the difference between the guys in this tier really and the guys in the C tier is when you're looking at Braylon Allen, when you're looking at Bucky Irving, when you're looking at Isaiah Garrindo, like these are guys that went to place with established running backs that are probably going to get the majority of the workload. In Breece Hall, in Christian McCaffrey, and in Rachaad White. Okay, so Braylon Allen, we like him. His bakery score is really high. He's up in that top tier with Jalen Wright, Marshawn Lloyd, and Trey Benson. I just wonder, like, Breece Hall's a guy you use in the red zone. He's really a guy you use everywhere. He's a 3-down back. He's extremely talented. So I just worry about his fantasy production. That's why I have him a tier below here. And the same thing with Bucky Irving. Like, Bucky Irving, like, he's 7th in the bakery, 8.45 above Corum still, above Ray Davis. But, like, to us, this doesn't really affect Rachaad White. I think he does get some run. I'm curious because, like, I would have thought they drafted a bigger back here.
Yeah, I think it'll be less fantasy relevant for Bucky Irving and more like he's going to serve as a really good NFL weapon. But outside of that, like, I'm just not expecting him to take away much from Rachaad White.
He's not a big guy either. Like, I just don't really understand that pick.
Yeah.
But he's going to be here as well just because of the draft capital in the situation. And then Isaiah Garrindo, I don't expect him to do much, but because he's a quick guy in a Shanahan offense, I think he's a good dart throw in, like, the 4th round of Superflex leagues. I do think that, you know, at the end of the day, we would have probably ended up being too high on him as a dynasty community, but he's definitely worth putting in this tier and keeping an eye on.
I anticipate him being a little overdrafted given the landing spot too, just because so many people are high on him as a sleeper anyways, and I don't know. I might end up avoiding him.
Yeah.
Last tier. F tier is our last tier here. These are just a bunch of guys who got drafted, a bunch of dudes, and maybe they end up showing out more than the other running backs that these teams took as well. Jace McClellan, look, he goes to Atlanta, and he could potentially have a chance to show out if they decide that he's better than Tyler Algier. Do I think that's likely? Not really, but I did think he showed some flashes at Alabama. I thought he was decent. He just has really not great vision, and that's why he fell. Isaiah Davis also went to the Jets. This is kind of interesting because there's some Isaiah Davis truthers out there. He goes to the same place as Braylon Allen. I think at the end of the day, Allen is going to take the job. I think he's going to take the number 2 option behind Breece Hall. But hey, again, there's always a chance. There's always a shot for this guy. Keelan Robinson, I think of the guys in this tier, I think he has the best shot at being the number 2 option behind the lead running back in that offense. And I think he could easily beat out Tank Bigsby. Bigsby was not as effective as I thought he could be last year, and it's why Etienne got more carries than we expected. This year, Doug Peterson has made it very clear that Etienne is going to get less carries than he did last year. So with Keelan Robinson, there's a chance there for him to compete in that backfield. And I mean, we just saw it a few years ago with James Robinson, and he was undrafted. Yeah. Rasheen Ali, someone that probably a lot of you guys don't know.
Decent bakery score.
Decent bakery score.
With Garrindo, with Frank Gore Jr., it's still in that pink tier, but decent.
Yeah, like, he's a guy out of Marshall, and he landed in the Baltimore Ravens. Again, late day 3. Do we expect much out of him? No, we don't expect much out of any of the guys in this F tier. But look, there's no long-term answer at the running back position for Baltimore. It's Derrick Henry for this year, and then outside of that, that's it. So we've seen some no-name guys come into Baltimore's offense and be pretty productive, make some noise. We just saw it with Keaton Mitchell last year. There's a chance that Rasheen Ali could be that guy.
All right. There you go. I mean, these guys in the last year are basically like they just got drafted in the 5th, 6th round, so we're putting them in order the way they got drafted. So we are going to say it one more time. Use your thirds on running backs, baby. Even this year, we're doing it. There's tons of guys that could carve out roles in committees in this running back class.
Yep.
If you want a team blueprint, which is a comprehensive plan for your dynasty team, multi-year, team archetype, players to move off of, players to trade for, positional grades, all of it, well-rounded plan for you, multi-year, flockfantasy.com/domain. Use code domain and choose Mother Flocker tier. Get a team blueprint, get a rookie draft guide, get one-on-one advice and more. And you get to join one of the fastest growing dynasty communities out there. We'd love to get to chat with you. Join today. Send Nathan and I a friend request. Say what's up. We'd love to chat with you. Appreciate you guys so much. Make sure you like and subscribe. We'll see you later.